All right, everybody out there in the Craft Chest Nation, it's Craft Chest here with some gimmick infringement of my own. But I'm going to tell you what, tonight I have to talk about a few things. And I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm not going to be getting into the whole Minnesota thing. But meanwhile, in the South, we're doing mighty fine because down here we have learned how to coexist as a community. And I think that later on in this vlog, we're actually going to get in on what I'm talking about as far as the difference between the rest of the country and the South. But first and foremost, I don't want to forget this. Number one, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but every time I think about something and somebody that is a legend in music or movie or whatever, I just have to put this out there because I want evidence in case something happens. Like I'm a fucking psychic or something. Charlie Daniels is still alive and well, everybody. Age 83. So, Charlie Daniels, it's not your birthday, but, you know, give you a shout out. Number two, SpaceX, Elon Musk, NASA, and everybody involved with that project. Congratulations on getting America back into space. Of course, you know, the Brits had to go up there and talk about how, you know, the president was saying how successful it was and how that's how America does and how successful it, you know, and we were talking about, you know, how most of this was the brainchild of Elon Musk, America, this, that, and the other. And they had to say, well, it wasn't just the Americans. It was an international effort to get the Americans back into space. Really? Why we gotta go negative on that shit? And thirdly, it is Tipsy Chest. And I might even splice in or have to do a little pause or whatever and edit this out where I go and do a refill. Because you know what? There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I had some GoPro footage, and I might still show some GoPro footage of where I almost got ran over by some crazy lunatic in an SUV. I was in the left lane, and they passed me in the left on a get-off ramp, and then ran a couple of cars off the road trying to duck and weave and dodge. And then I stopped, I even caught a red light on purpose, and I was like, what is this dude doing? And he stopped at the red light ahead. Now, shortly thereafter, I don't know if it had anything to do with it, I got to the house, and no sooner than I got inside, got settled in, whatever, I hear fire trucks and sirens and sheriff zipping down the road in that direction. Coincidence? Maybe. But I don't know what they had going on in that car, but you'll see. Maybe I'll show you the tail end of it. You can't see it in like license plates or anything like that, so it's not going to be any like privacy violations or whatever. I don't really give a shit because the dude, you know, if he would have hit me, he would have took me out. Because that dude, he came so close where my car like shook and I felt the whoosh, even though my car windows were up and everything. So I really don't care. Because as soon as I saw the dude in my rearview mirror, I was like, what is this dude doing? And I retch up there, and I didn't have it on. I should have had it on. Boop! And I hit the GoPro button, and you'll see where he's ducking and weaving and pushing somebody off the road and all that good stuff up there. And thirdly, let's just get the big gorilla out of the room, because I know everybody out there wonders, Craft Chest, what's your opinion on what's going on? I know there's some peoples out there in my community that wonder, what do you think about what's going on as far as what's going on in Minneapolis? And I'm just going to say this about that particular situation. Being clear-minded, the same thought that I would have anyway, I got to see the body cam footage. I got to hear more audible evidence of what went on whenever that SUV blocked the scene of the security camera. Now, did they know that was there? I don't know. I got to see body cam footage. I got to hear what was going on, what was said, what was actually going down at that particular scene, because we don't get that footage. I've looked at different angles and bystanders and spliced togethers and all this good stuff, but I want the body cam footage before I pass judgment on anybody. That's first and foremost. Now, secondly, with that said, yes, you do have people, no matter what the profession, you have people that are corrupt. You have people that just aren't going to do right. You have people that don't see anything but them. Whether it be white, black, red, brown, Hispanic, Asian, they don't care. It's all about them. Then you have those people out there that just plain out think that they're above the law because they are the law. And they're wrong. Now, until this investigation is done and until we see exactly what happened, I would encourage people out there, no matter where you are, to refrain from passing 100% judgment, because we don't know what happened. And then, with that said, period, I'm done with that situation. I rewind back to 2017, where a white woman was shot by a man of ethnicity. I think his name was either Muhammad or Omar or Ahmed or something like that. And nothing was ever said. Still, cop shooting a civilian, and we don't have this response. But because it's a particular color, we have this response. And then my heritage, which a lot of people don't believe, whatever. I don't give a shit what you think. It's the truth. I got papers to prove it. I know where I was born. I know where I was raised. We can rewind not so far back into history where American Indians were done wrong. We can rewind all the way back to 1929 when the last tribe was begged to come to the reservation so they wouldn't be wiped out. You think the words of President Trump are harsh when the looting starts, the shooting starts? That pales in comparison of what was done to the American Indians of this great country. So many tribes were lost to history. So many tribes were lost to their culture. And one of the reasons being is that for so many millennia, they didn't have to worry about written languages because it was passed down from generation to generation. But even when I was growing up, it was forbidden for us to speak in our native tongue. It was forbidden for us to teach each other. It had to all be English. And I can remember a time where it was encouraged for Native American mothers, American Indian mothers, to give up their newborns to white parents so that they could culture them in the American way, to the great white father. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that it's not just black and white. That it's not just Hispanic, Asian, whatever. Name a culture, name a race. But the indigenous peoples of this land have been done wrong more times and more ways than anybody here can fathom. And that makes me so sad that we live in a time right now where all we want to say is, well, it's a cop. He did this. He's black. He's wrong. Maybe so. And the reason being is that we are so good as Americans. We are so good as a world to sweep cultures under the rug. And it doesn't just happen here. I see Europe out there on Twitter. There's people that I follow that I know live over there and I know have opinions. Belgium being one of them. Germany being another. But least we forget, while they're sitting here talking about America, least we forget the biggest racist of them all being Germany, wanting to wipe out the Jews. Isn't that what that was all about? Hitler? We forget that quick. South Africa. European white settlers. Apartheid. Australia. Same thing against the Aborigines. It goes on all over the world. Name a country. It's happened. It's not just America. And yes, it's wrong. So don't come out here thinking that it's just the cops. Don't come out here thinking that it's just one color. Don't come out here thinking and saying that, oh, we've been dealing with this shit for 40 years, 50 years, 100 years. Humanity. That's the problem. We have races that are violent. We have races that are severely violent. But for some reason, us as humanity can't deal without violence. Drama. Death. Destruction. Chaos. We just can't deal with it. A lot of people. I can. I hate getting in fights. I hate getting in confrontations. And I know a lot of people out there probably say, oh, you look like you're the one that started. No. See, you stereotyping. If you're that type of person, you can ask anybody. Recently, you can ask people that know me in real life. When shit went down here, my house was flooded. I could have very well went over and kicked the shit out of an entire household of people's, or maybe worse. But I woosawed and said, you know what? I fast forwarded to if I did that, what the consequences would be. But we can't do that as humans. We can't do that as humanity. We can't do that as a society. I don't know why. We all have to conquer each other. I see it each and every day. You talk about cops, let's talk about parents. You see it each and every day. And I know I do. Parents leading children on leashes. I had a dude the other day snapping at me. I didn't acknowledge his presence until he came up and said, hey, can I get some help? You have people going to their kids like they're fucking animals. You have them walking around here, babies with squeaky shoes. Wee, 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 wee. We do anything and everything to make our lives too easy and not take responsibility for the upbringing and actually taking the responsibility at home level to where you don't have that shit happen out there in society. Racism isn't taught. Racism isn't cultured. It's learned from the parents. Even the cops, public officials, civilians, name it. That's where it's learned. Is it racist that this cop did this? I don't know. Once again, I have to see the body cam footage. I have to see the up close and personal footage. Hear what was going on. Because the initial reports that come out saying that he died from underlying conditions. I don't know if that's true. I need to see the footage. Will we ever see the footage? I don't know. But does it dictate us to destroy one another, to destroy livelihoods of other people, especially with something going on such as a pandemic, when people are trying to get back to work? Just kind of coincidental that something would go on like this in a great place like Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then it spreads just as fast as the virus did. California, Atlanta. And it makes me sad to think about such. Because through the years, you would think that places like that, the North, the Midwest, the West, the East Coast, would be a better example than the South. Because I'm going to tell you right now, me as a person, and not trying to dramatize or make this video better than it is. Meanwhile, in the South, I'm not looking at color. When I'm at work, and we have all been at work during these times, it's business as usual. Because we tolerate and we know that we're better than that. For too long, the South has been deemed a racist place, backwards country. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, whatever, Georgia. That's just such backward states. Are we so backwards? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been going to work during this post-apocalyptic time, during the coronavirus, to where it's be safe while you're out times now. And we come in contact with all cultures. White, black, Hispanic, Vietnamese, Chinese, name it. Right now, during all of these trying times, and not once has any black person come up with any malice or defensiveness or disregard for authority. Not one time. Down here in as far south as you can get. Now, other places I can't speak for. But I know where I live, where I work, ain't got nothing to do with us. That is one man that did wrong against somebody else. And he will pay his price for his deed if he did do wrong. That's the way I see it. Now, I did hear a lady talking to somebody else saying that she is so scared. It's a black lady. Old black lady. Talking with a white man. Just randomly. I just happened to hear a few words. And she says, this is so sad of a time that down here we were over this. I thought we were past all this, and here we go. Now it's in the north. I am so afraid for this country. We worked for so many years to get past racism down here. And you can't tell me that everybody down here, because I'm going to say something that might offend people. All right? And I'm sorry. But white and black couples having the mixed interracial relationship babies is quite a few down here. Whether it be white men, black women, black men, white women. There's a lot. Trust me. Probably more than gay people. And lesbians. Man-hating bulldykes. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just being real. And you would think that there would be crosses burning in the streets, because that's what you dictate and dictate us as. The Ku Klux Klan running rampant, being pissed off at all this. I haven't seen any of it. And I find it absolutely saddening that we as a country can't hold individuals accountable. That's one man that did that. That went too far, one too many times. Let him be held accountable. Why is it that we must suffer the masses because of one individual? You want to kill somebody? Kill him. He's the one responsible. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Isn't that the saying? But why should I suffer? Why should anybody suffer? Especially in that town, in that city. Because of one individual. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that it's time for us to step back and reevaluate what we think is right and wrong. Because all we see is this much history. We see this much. Oh, everybody remembers Martin Luther King till now. But we don't rewind back to recent history. People probably still living from 1929. Where the last of the American Indians were begged and pleaded. Where all the great chiefs of America were gathered in one spot to ask the last remaining tribe to please come to the reservation so that we could finally live in peace. But after that, not be allowed to live and share and speak the language, share the culture. You must Americanize yourself. But we forget about this. We forget about this. Because it's all black and white, right? It's all black and white. Red people never existed.